Hey, y'all quiet now. How you gonna love your enemy and you can't love God? Y'all better listen to me. Look, Jesus said, if you can't love your enemy, you in trouble. You can't love your enemy, you ain't gonna make it. There's people walk all around today, man, they want to talk about Jesus and they hate people. They don't know Jesus. Jesus didn't hate anybody. He loved. He even loved those when they were plucking his beard out and beating him, spitting in his face. He loved them. And when he was hanging on that cross, he said, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. You can't get no more forgiveness than that. And yet, today, you know, you got all these churches, man, they won't talk about prosperity and blessing, but they don't want to talk about you got to live right. Look, you can't have all these blessings if you don't learn to love God and your neighbor and your enemy. That's how the enemy comes in your life, because he sees that little fire stoked in there that says, I hate so-and-so. That's all he needs, folks. He just needs one thing. He don't need a multitude. He needs one thing. It was one thing that separated man from God in the garden. That's all it takes is one thing. We got to learn to let all that stuff go. You better learn to start ripping them weeds out of your garden real fast. I'm going to tell you something. There are going to be some people that's going to have a pretty garden. It's going to go to waste because you're letting the weeds hang out. Verse 11 said, there came an angel of the Lord and sat under an oak tree, which was in Ophrah, that pertained unto Joash the Abzrite. Well, I'm just doing horrible with that name, ain't I? And his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. Look here. If God doesn't have his hand on you, I don't care what you try to hide, it will be consumed. Now see, Gideon, he was a pretty good boy. But see, he was trying to hide some substance over by the wine press, hoping the enemy wouldn't find it. Y'all never recognized that before when you read this story? It said he was hiding it. He knew what was going on. Now, I like what he begins to ask. Listen to what he begins to ask. It said, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, the Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? Where be all his miracles which our father told us of? Saying, did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord hath forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. And the Lord looked upon him and said, go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee? And he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. Isn't it amazing how God always wants to take whatever's the least and the smallest and make the best out of it? Don't ever think you ain't got something God can't use. Y'all hear what I said? Don't ever think Don't ever think you're too small or too little or too non-important in your family to ever do something for God. Gideon said, well, what am I going to do? We poor and I'm the least in my daddy's house. But you see, when the angel appeared, he said, the Lord's with you. Friend, that's all you got to have. You just need God with you. You need Him you need Him attached to you. And don't ever let Him loose. He asked some interesting questions, didn't he? You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me that somewhere along the way, he probably wasn't taught the reason why God wasn't there anymore. You see, if he'd have been brought up the way he should have been, he'd have known that the reason why God wasn't doing the things He's doing is because the whole land had become evil. He said, all I've heard is that you used to do these things, but where are you now? And some of y'all today, you sitting back and you thinking, man, I need that miracle in my life. God, where are you? And now I'm going to show you that he was not raised the right way. There was something in his family that caused him not to receive what he was supposed to be receiving through the knowledge of God. Y'all ready? I asked you when I started, what are you willing to tear down? Didn't I? Verse 16, the Lord said unto him, surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. And he said unto him, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me. Depart not thence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee, and bring forth my present, and set it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again. And Gideon went in and made ready a kid and unleavened cakes, and of an ephah of flour, and the flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak tree, and presented it. And the angel of God said unto him, take the flesh of the unleavened cakes, and lay them upon this rock, and pour out the broth. And so he did. Then the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh of the unleavened cakes, and there arose up fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Lord departed out of his sight. Isn't that amazing? He set it on a rock. 22, when Gideon perceived that he was an angel of the Lord, Gideon said, alas, O Lord God, for because I have seen an angel of the Lord face to face. And the Lord said unto him, peace be unto thee, fear not, thou shalt not die. Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord, and called it Jehovah Shalom. Unto this day it is yet in Ophrah of the Abiezrites. And it came to pass in the same night, the Lord said unto him, take thy father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years old, and throw down the altar of Baal that thy father hath. His daddy worshiping something he ain't got no business worshiping. You need to realize today that there are things in the past that your family may have done that can plague you. They're called generational curses. Here, Gideon is told by God, he said, hey, it's time to get up, it's time to do something. I told you I'm going to be with you, and here we go. Now, you know what a lot of people would have done if the Lord would have spoke to him and said, now, you go out there and you tear down your daddy's altar to Baal, and we're going to fix it right. People said, no, I ain't tearing down my daddy's altar. You know why? Because people are more scared of somebody that can harm your flesh than the one that can destroy your soul. We got it backwards. He said, fear not them that can harm or destroy your flesh, but you better fear the one that can destroy your soul. You see, we've gotten it backwards. See, we too worried about if I go tear that down, them people going to be mad at me, and they going to want to come beat me up.